Good morning, everyone. My name is Jill, and I am the Training and Education Manager here at Vertical Response. And today I'm going to be demoing our integration with Salesforce. This webinar is about 50 minutes long, 45, 50 minutes long, and at the end I will do a Q&A. So along the way, if you think of questions that you'd like to ask, there's a little window in your GoToWebinar window, a little box in the window, that you can type in questions. So feel free to ask whatever you need to ask along the way, and I'll answer as many of the questions at the end as I can. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the demo. So this is what a vertical response account looks like within Salesforce. Once you do the installation, you'll have 3 VR tabs: VR email, which is where you'll spend most of your time; VR postcard, which is an actual postcard sent through the U.S. mail. It's not an e-card. So if you're interested in doing direct mail, we have that option available. And then VR statistics, where you can see the information about your email after it's gone out. So who's opened, who's clicked on links, things like that. That's where all of that information will be stored. So the first thing that you would need to do is actually install Vertical Response into your Salesforce account. Now, you do have to be an admin for Salesforce, so if you don't happen to be that person, you just need to contact whoever is and ask them to do the installation for you. And it's pretty straightforward. You just go to force.com up here in the top right-hand corner, and it's going to bring up the App Exchange where you can install a variety of applications into Salesforce. Vertical Response is always on the most popular tab. And you can come in here and just click the Get It Now button, and our system will walk you through. It's about 5 steps to do the install, and you'll be able to have Vertical Response added. There's no fee to do the installation, so you can test it out first. And also, if you happen to be using Group Edition, we do have a separate application. There's a link if you go from the Provider tab, Vertical Response for Group Edition, or you could just search for Vertical Response and it'll come up as well. It's a slightly different integration because the Group Edition doesn't have dashboards available for these type of integrations, so that part's missing. But the rest of it is exactly the same. So the demo that I give you today will be exactly what you can use if you're using Group Edition or if you're using any of the other editions available through Salesforce. So once you have the installation completed, you should see the VR tabs. If you happen to not see them, you just need to click this drop-down menu up here in the top right-hand corner. You'll find Vertical Response, and then the tabs will pop up. So as I mentioned earlier, you'll probably spend most of your time on the VR email tab. And that's because there's a quick start box right here where you can create an email and also create a list. And those are 2 of the things that you'll spend some time doing. In addition to being able to create a new email and list, you can see the last 5 emails that were sent from your VR account, and you can see how the statistics went and everything. And then at the bottom of this page is resources and tools. So there's a few things on here that you'll probably want. We have the Watch Demos link there, and that's where you can go to our help page, and we have lots of demos on creating emails or creating a list. They're all about 2 minutes long, so you don't have to sit through a really long video to find out how to add an image to your email. So there's lots of information there. There's also text as well, text tutorials if you don't want to watch a video. Community is our VR lounge, which is where it's basically a forum where people using our system can go and talk, and there is a section for people using Salesforce. So you can talk about email marketing or tips about using Salesforce or whatever you're interested in. We also have a blog for our App Exchange. The media library, which I'll go over in just a few minutes, is where you'll be able to add images in your library, and our system will let you access the library when you're creating your emails to add them in your emails. And then the recycle bin, the marketing calendar is just basically a calendar where you can track your email campaigns that are coming up or that have already gone out, and holidays and things like that. And the recycle bin is where things go when you delete them. So if you delete a list or if you delete an email, it goes to the recycle bin, and you can always get it back if you decide you actually needed that information. So let's go back up here, and I'm going to go through creating a list, querying leads and contacts. So the leads and contacts from your Salesforce account. And also, if you have campaigns available, which not everybody has, which is fine, I'll show you how to create a list that way too. So let me go ahead and click on New List here in the Quick Start menu. And you'll see there's 3 options. The first one is create a list of leads and contacts, which I'll go through in just a minute. And this is where our system's going to query the leads and contacts to create the list that you're looking for. You can use a campaign. So as you can see in my account, I have a campaign tab. If you have a campaign tab available in the version of Salesforce that you're using, if you've set up a campaign, our system can use that as long as it's active as a mailing list. And then you'll be able to see information about the campaigns on the leads and contacts. The third option here is import an external mailing list. So there's 2 things about this. This is basically going to allow you to upload a separate mailing list into your vertical response account. The first thing to note is that uploading this list does not create leads and contacts in Salesforce because you're going to be uploading it just to vertical response. The second thing is that if you mail to this list, once your email's gone out and you try to send your statistics back to the leads and contacts, this type of list will not be able to send the data to leads and contacts because it will not contain the information our system needs to update Salesforce. You'll still see all the statistics. You're not going to lose it. It will be on the VR Statistics tab. You're just not going to see it on your leads and contacts in Salesforce. So that's one thing to note about this step, that it doesn't have any impact on Salesforce. So let's go ahead and create a list using queries of the leads and contacts. So under data source, you're going to be able to query from these 6 options: all leads, all contacts, all leads and contacts, my leads, my contacts, and my leads and contacts. So I'm going to do all leads and contacts, and you'll notice now I have 2 sections for setting up my parameters. I have one for leads and one for contacts. And I'm going to set them up the same so that I have the same type of query and I have the same type of information in the list that I'm creating. So I'm going to click on this drop-down menu here for the leads, and our system is going to be able to query based on whatever information you have set up for your leads. So you have, in the details section of the leads, you'll have the default fields that come with your Salesforce account. And in addition, any custom fields that you've created, our system will see that, and you'll be able to use that as the information for setting up your query. Oops. And so you could search by just about anything. So we could go by state. So if you wanted to search by people who are in, let's say, California, you could do that. You could search by, oops, I selected salutation. You could search by company. So if there was a particular company that you wanted to search under, you could do that. So if you wanted to have a very specific query, you can set up your query to make it easier for you to be able to find that information, or to have a very, very specific mailing list. You can continue to add filters to the query. So the more filters you add, the more specific your mailing list is going to become. And let's see, let's go ahead, and I have a limited amount of information in my account here, so I'm going to set up a different type of, I'll just do a smaller query just to create a list. But you can see that anything that you have in your account, you'll be able to see that information in here. And it's the same for contacts as well. You'll be able to access the information under the contacts that you have set up. And just like the leads, you can query any of the detail information that's been set up, or your custom fields as well. So I can go ahead and, again, you can set it up to search for a variety of information. So you could have, again, you could do company. Let me take this out of this one here. You could do company, you could do salesperson. There's a lot of information you can, whatever information you have set up for your contacts, you're going to be able to set that up for the search. Whoops. So once you've set up your query, and again, you can continue to add filters. So if I wanted to search by, so I'm doing email to get a particular company, but if you did company, you could also do state or some kind of region, any kind of information. Maybe you could search by the date that it was created, so that if you were creating a mailing list of new leads, if you were going to, say, send out an email for new leads to encourage them to make a purchase, and you're going to do something like that every month, you'd be able to set up a query for that and create the list that you need to use for any of the new leads since whatever date you've created it. So let me go ahead and click Next Step. And on the next step, our system is going to give an option for selecting what information you're going to want to bring over into your vertical response account. So there's, okay, there we go. So by default, our system is going to pull over the email address because, of course, you need an email address to send out an email. But if there's other information that you want to include in your excuse me, in your mailing list, or even in your campaign itself, the email campaign, you can bring that information over from this page. So for instance, if I wanted to bring over first and last name, that would be information that I could use not only in my email, but perhaps after the campaign has gone out in order for me to keep track of the information people I've mailed to, or if there's someone else who wants to take a look at what was sent to, you'll be able to have that information. And then you could also bring over custom fields as well. So if you wanted to bring over, for instance, employees, or any of the fields that are available in here, you would be able to bring over any of these. So let's see, we could do salutation. And you could do it for contacts as well, so leads and contacts. And then on this side, you would need to set up what you want to call the field, your custom field, and then click this little box. You need to make sure you click the box on the right, like I did with the first and the last name, in order to bring this information over into the list, into your vertical response account in order to have that available. So once you've set up any custom fields you want to bring over and any of the fields that are available up here, go ahead and click Next Step. And this is going to give you a preview of the information that our system is pulling in. So our system is going to show you just a preview on this page. You'll see up to 200 leads and 200 contacts, just so you have an idea of how the query is working for you. If everything looks good, you can move on. The reason that we do this is because if you're bringing over a list of 20,000 names, it would take a long time for our system to query to find the information to create the list, and you would end up on this page for a long time. So we're just going to show you a sample of what the system is pulling in, and if it looks good, you want to move on. So there's a couple things I'm going to mention from this step. One is when our system is doing the query, it's looking for leads and contacts, not only that fall into the parameters that you've set up, but also they must have an email address in the email field, the default email field that Salesforce has created. And the email opt-out box cannot be checked. Our system is looking to make sure that everybody is still mailable from your Salesforce account. If they've unsubscribed through your Salesforce emails that you've sent out and the email opt-out box is checked, our system is not going to bring that over into the mailing list. So those are some of the things that we're looking for at this step when we start creating the list for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next Step. And you have a couple of options from this page. So you can just create the list. You can save just the query, or you can create the list and save query. And again, like I said earlier, if you were doing something, say creating a list of all of the new leads that you've received in the last month and you wanted to send out a welcome email every month, you could save that query from this step, and then you don't have to go through the steps of setting it up every time you needed to run this particular list. you'd already have it set up, and you can go through and use the query again every month if that was what you were sending your email out for. So on this page, you want to give your list a name, and the name is just for you to be able to use. You need to, it's just for you to manage. Your recipients are not going to see this. Nobody's going to see the list name, so you can call it whatever is easiest for you to remember. I'm going to call it April 28th because I think that's what the date is. I could be wrong. You could append this to a campaign. So if you had an active campaign, you could use our system to run the query for your leads and contacts and then attach it to a campaign, but I'm not going to do that in this step. And then if you wanted to save the query, you need to give your query a name as well. Okay, my fingers are on the wrong buttons there. And then you could also give a description of what the query is if you wanted to be able to see that information later. So I'm going to go ahead and create my list. My query's been saved, and then my list is being compiled, and our system will email you when it's ready to go. This is a pretty small list, though, so it should already be done. So here it is, and there's my mailing list ready to go for whenever I'm ready to send my email. So let's jump back to the VR email tab. And let's go back into the new list, and I'll show you the campaign option. So if you do have a campaign that you want to use that you've set up, you just come to this page. Again, it has to be set to active. That's the only way our system will see it. And then come in here, click on the name of your campaign, your Salesforce campaign. And then our system is going to drop you right back into the same steps that we just took a look at in the previous list that we created. So you just want to select whatever fields you want to bring over to the vertical response side. And then click next step, and you'll go through the same steps of saving and uploading the list onto your vertical response account. So let's jump back to the VR email tab one more time. And this time I'm going to set up an email. But before I set up an email, I'm going to show you how to use the media library. So let me come down here to the media library. And there's a couple things. So if you have an image that you want to upload, there's a link here that says Upload Images. And you can upload your logo if you want to use that in your email, or any images that you want to use within your email campaign. You can upload it. You just need to make sure they're saved as a JPEG or a GIF, and then you'll be able to upload them. But we also have a gallery of images. So there's a couple things here. There's 75,000 royalty-free images that are available to use for your email campaigns. We have some categories set up already, and you can just click on them to find what you're looking for, or you can even do a search. So I'm going to search for San Francisco. We're in San Francisco, and so is Salesforce, so I'll go ahead and search for San Francisco. So you'll see the search results will come back, and there's numerous pages of different images that pertain to San Francisco. And as you mouse over the thumbnails, you'll get a larger view of what the image is, so you have an idea of what it is if you want to use it in your email. And then you can click on whichever one you want to use. Just click on the size. Generally, small is the one that you're going to want to use for your email campaigns. The large one is just a little too big for campaigns, but you can actually use our tools to make them a little bit smaller. So if you wanted a larger image, you could do that. And then our system will just pop it right into your media library to use for your email campaigns. So this one, even though I selected the smaller version, it is a little bit big for an email campaign. So if you mouse over it, you'll see this pencil icon. And if you click on it, that's going to bring up our image editing tools. And we recently partnered with Picnic to give you more flexibility in editing your images. So here we go. This is the image that I just selected. And there's a lot of things you can do with the Picnic tool. You can change the colors and the exposure. And if you're using an image that you took yourself, you can even take care of red eye. But for most email campaigns, you're going to use rotate, crop, or resize. And resize is probably the one you'll use the most. When you come into resize, you can go ahead and start typing whatever size image you're going to have, and you'll notice that on this side, in this box, it automatically resizes my height, and that's because the keep proportions box is checked. So that's keeping my image from getting distorted. So you want to make sure you keep that on. Once it's been resized, click OK, and then click Save and Return to Library. And this is going to take you out of the picnic window and pop you right back into the media library. So I'm going to jump right back into VR email, and this time I will set up an email now that I have an image to use and a list to use. So I'm going to click on New Email. And we've also recently upgraded some of the editors that we offer for creating your email campaigns. And I'm going to go through using one of the new editors, which makes it really easy to create emails. I'm going to show you one thing from this page, though. If you're using or already have set up a Salesforce template that you use to send your emails and you want to continue to use that, right now you need to click this No Thanks link. And you'll see at the bottom of this list it says Salesforce Mail Templates. Click Refresh Templates, and you'll be able to select the templates that you have available. Now the templates have to be in a public folder. Our system doesn't see private folders, so they can't be in the unfiled folder or in my personal folder. It has to be something that's public. So if they're not there, you just need to move them into a public folder, and then you'll be able to see them from this step. So if you wanted to use your own template, just you'll need to click the No Thanks on that first splash page, and then you'll be able to come in here and find them. I'm going to click Cancel, though, because I'm going to go back and use one of the new tools. I'm going to click Start Now. So the system drops you right into the workflow to start setting up your email and sending it out. So the first step is giving it a name. And our system by default is going to call it whatever the time and the date is that you set it up. But you can change this to anything that you want to. You can highlight in here and then call it whatever you want to. The from label and the excuse me. The from label and the subject line are probably the two most important parts of your email. These are the things that drive your recipients to want to open your email, and that's the hardest part in sending out an email campaign. So you want to make sure your from label is something that they're going to recognize. Our system automatically pulls in your company name from this account section up here in the top right. And that's generally what you want to use. You generally want to have your company name set up in there. That's usually what your recipients will know, and that's usually who they've signed up to receive emails from. The subject line is what's going to convince your recipients to open your email. So you need to make sure that it's something that's compelling to make them want to see what your email's about. It is governed by the CAN spam law, so it does have to pertain to the content of your email. You can't have any kind of misleading subject line. And then also, most email clients will truncate your subject line to about 40 to 50 characters. So you want to make sure that it's fairly short so that your recipients will be able to see the whole subject line. So that gets pretty tricky, trying to come up with something that will drive people to want to open your email. So let me make something up here. So as you see, our system is counting how many characters I've typed into the subject line, and it's okay. The closer you get to 50, it starts turning red, and then you'll know that you need to start shortening your subject line a little bit. Down here at the bottom is a footer that we add to the bottom of your email, and this contains the unsubscribe information and the postal address. And again, both of these are required by the CAN spam law, and so we add those to the bottom of the email. The unsubscribe message can be edited. If you click on the change link, you'll be able to change this. The only thing you can't change it to is some other way for people to unsubscribe. They have to go through our system because we're managing all of that for you. But you can also change your link text if you want it to say something other than unsubscribed. One thing to note, if somebody unsubscribes through a vertical response email and you click the update statistics button, our system is going to mark the email opt-out box on the leader contact if they unsubscribe. So that information will be tracked in your Salesforce account. And then again, the postal address, you need to have a valid postal address. And you can come in here and add this information every time you send out an email. But if you fill it in again, under the account section up here, then you won't have to do that once you've filled that information in. Our system just automatically pulls it in as it has here. So this is a reply to email address at the very bottom. When you send out your email, if people hit reply, this is where we're going to send your responses to. This is just the email address in my account, but you would, of course, set up whatever you want. And this isn't something your recipients see. So you could put an internal email address. They'll never see it. It's something our system's using to forward emails to you. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And this is where you get to select what editor you're going to use. So by default, we have Email Wizard selected, and this is the one that I'm going to demo for you today. There's lots of templates, and it's really easy to set up your email. We have an email canvas, which is our what you see is what you get editor. It has templates that are available, the same templates that are available for the wizard. Or if you know HTML, you can start from scratch and set up your own tables and table rows and cells to create your email. We also have a freeform option, which is where someone on your side would write the HTML code, and then you'll copy and paste it in, and our system will render that for you. This is kind of an advanced version of our editors, because somebody on your side has to write all of the code. We're not going to write any of it. So just keep that in mind if that's something that you're interested in. Some people would use this option, you might be wondering, since we have two options that already have pre-built templates. If they have someone who can build the code and they're trying to match, say, their website, or maybe somebody is doing an event and they're trying to match a brochure or something like that. If you have someone who could write the code for you, you would be able to set your emails up like that. The last option here is text only, and that would just be a plain text email. There's no images. You can't change the font that you're using. It's just a plain text email. You'll also notice at the bottom it says that the Salesforce mail templates will be coming soon. That's going to be a release in just a couple months where you'll be able to use our new editors with the Salesforce templates. So that is on its way. So I'm going to go ahead and click Email Wizard and then click Next. And it's going to drop me right into selecting my templates. So there's lots of categories that we have. There's a couple pages of categories. So you want to go through and look at some of the different templates that we have available. There could be something that you want to use under one of the categories. Maybe your company doesn't quite fall into that, but you might find something that you really like, and you can use that. Nobody will ever know what category you selected it from. So I'm going to click the Select Template button, and that's going to drop my template into this section where I can start editing it. So the first step is to start setting up the email to make it easy for you to start adding the content. So we have content blocks over here, and you can just drag and drop them into this section to start building what your email is going to look like. So I can have an article and an image, and all you do is mouse over it. You'll see it changes colors, and then grab it with your mouse and pull it over. This is a horizontal line, so you can set up multiple articles, and then you can break them up with a line if you want to. So you can set up as many of these in your email as you like. And you can still move them around as well. So for instance, this has my greeting in it, and I can just grab it and drag it up to the top. Whoops, I have to grab it first. There we go. So now it's at the top of my email. And if you don't like one of the sections we have, you can go ahead and delete it. Just click the little red dot icon, and it'll take it out. So once you have your content block set up, you'll be able to start adding your text. You can just start typing into these blocks, or you can paste in some pre-written text if you want to. The only caution I would have if you did that is be sure to use the Paste from Word button, especially if you've written it in Word, because Word uses its own formatting. And you've probably seen this before on websites or blogs. If you pull your text from Word and the formatting comes along, there are certain characters that don't show up in HTML. So usually it's quotation marks or asterisks or apostrophes, sorry. And they end up looking like little squares or question marks, or even sometimes they look kind of like Greek letters. And the reason is because it's not all HTML. So to make sure that your email doesn't run into those problems, just be sure to use Paste from Word, and then your email will look great for your recipients. Once you have your text in here, we have this editing tool over here on the left which makes it easy for you to make changes to your text. So you can just highlight the section or words with your mouse, and then over here you can use some of the different tools. So you can bold, you can italicize or underline. You can change the size of your text just by clicking on the drop down. You can change your font. You can even change the color of your text if you want to. So it's really easy. You just highlight it and click on what you need to change. Now, if you knew ahead of time that there was a particular font and size and even maybe a font color that you wanted to use in your email, just click this overall style link at the top before you get started, and you can set up the font up here. So if I click Georgia, now my whole email is set up to Georgia. So that way you wouldn't have to come in here and highlight each section, come over here, select the font, select the size, go into the next section. You can just set all of that up in here. You can even change the color if you wanted to change the color of your text. And the different sections, if you have a heading section or an article with a title, you can change the fonts there as well and the color. So maybe you would want the color to match instead of gray, like this one's set up to gray. Maybe match your logo or something like that. And the content block or content box is this section down here. And you can change the color if you want to. If you know the code, you can just type that in there. Or you can click on this little color picker box and select what color you want to add in there instead. And there now it kind of goes with that. You can also easily set up links. So if I wanted this word that I've done so much to be a link, just highlight it, click link over here, and then just type in whatever website you want to direct people to. Click submit, and it'll become a link. You can also set up an email address. So if you wanted to have people directly email somebody in your company or you, you can just set up an email address, highlight it, click link. This time, take out the HTTP and type in mail to, MAILTO : it's all one word, there's no spaces. And then type in your email address and click submit. And now it's a link. And if somebody clicks on this, it's going to pop open an email, and they can send that right to the email address that will already be populated in there. You can even make images links, and I would definitely encourage you to do that. Most people know to click on an image to be taken somewhere. So if you have products that you're selling in your email, maybe you have a new wine, maybe you're trying to sell a house and you have an image of a house, whatever it is that you're trying to get people to do with your email, make sure your images go to where you're talking about that particular product. So if it's a new wine, set up a URL to, set up the image to click to whatever page on your site has information about that. If it's a new product that you're offering, make sure it goes right to that product so that once somebody decides that they want to go check this out, they're going right where you need them to go to make that purchase. If you put a logo in your email, make sure that goes to your website. And you want to make sure that you have some links sprinkled in the content of your email as well to make sure when somebody decides, yes, okay, I am interested in what they're telling me, they have the option to click without having to scroll way up to find whatever link that you have or way down. So give them plenty of options to be able to get to your website. So if I wanted this to be a link, just click on it. And again, click the link icon and type in your email, or your URL. And now this becomes a link. You can even personalize your email. As you notice, when I created my list, I brought over people's first and last names. So this is set up already to personalize it. So instead of it just saying hi or hello, it can say hi Bob or hi Sally. And then there's a default value here, this valued customer. So if, for instance, I was missing first names for some of the recipients in my mailing list, then it would say, instead of just saying hi, it would say hi valued customer or hello reader, whatever you have it set up as. So let's go ahead and I'll show you this example here. So I put my cursor in here, click on the drop down menu over here, and then if you look through this list, there's different fields that you can bring over. So I can select last name, and then the system will right away give you the option to set up that backup default value in case you are missing some of that information. So for instance, I could write reader in here, click Insert Field, and now I'll have this information merged in. Of course, this wouldn't necessarily make sense in my email, but you get the idea. If you could also set up your own custom fields. So if you had, for instance, people's favorite wines, just type in curly bracket, whatever your field is called. So if I had brought over a field name called wine, I could set that up, and I would be able to merge in my own information that I've created in my mailing list. So this would be great if you wanted, for instance, if you were a winery, if you have new wine or wine club for somebody, you can send that information. I've seen people use this to merge in things like username or passwords for different accounts that they had, or even information about recently purchased products. So if you wanted to say, hello, Bob, we saw that you recently purchased product X and thought you might be interested in a sale we have coming up on product Y that goes with it, whatever. You'd be able to merge in that type of information. You could merge in salespeople's contact information, so you could send out one email to your list of recipients and then merge in the contact information for each person, whatever salesperson they have. So there's lots of uses for this, and people like to get personalized emails. So it's great to be able to send that information to them. Let me go ahead and show you how to add an image, and then I will walk you through the sending process and show you what the statistics look like once your email goes out. So of course in this section, this is a placeholder image, and you of course would want to change this. So if you just click on it, you can click on this image link in the toolbar, and you'll be able to add an image. But you could put an image anywhere in your email. It doesn't have to be there. So if I wanted an image in this particular section, I just click my cursor where I want it to go, click image over here, and then I have some options. You can upload an image directly from your desktop. You want to make sure it's saved as a JPEG or a GIF already and not too large so that you don't have to do too much resizing. You can upload it from your library, which is what I'm going to do. Or if you happen to have it already hosted on your site, you can just paste in the URL for that. So let me go ahead and select from my library since I uploaded an image. And I'll go ahead and click on the one that I had picked before. So there's a couple things to note on this page. First of all, I wouldn't change the width or height from here because you could end up distorting your image a little bit because it's hard to figure out what the right percentage is for the width and height. So this is what I set up using the picnic tool. So generally I would recommend you leave it that way. The alignment has to do with how the image is sitting with your text. So as you can see over here, it's sort of floating. If you click on the drop down, if I select left, my image is going to move to the left and then the text is going to wrap around it. If I select right, my image is going to move to the right and then my text will wrap around that way. The other thing to note here is the alt text. The alt text is something that's put on the back side of your image, and it isn't something that you really see, but if your recipients happen to have images blocked on their side, which, as you're probably aware, most email clients these days have that as an option, instead of seeing a broken image icon, they're going to see whatever you put as the alt text. So this is a great way for you to be able to communicate more information to your recipients. I could call this Golden Gate Bridge because it is a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge, but I could also say something like, click here for this month's specials. So this is a call to action. That's something that we talk about a lot in email marketing, what you're trying to get your recipients to do, trying to get them to go to your website, trying to get them to make a purchase, sign up for an event, whatever your email purpose is. That's the call to action that you're trying to get people to do. So you could set that up as your alt text. Click here for this month's specials. That could drive people to think, oh, I wonder what this month's specials are. And they'll turn on your images to take a look at what's going on in your email. You also want to make sure that your email is a nice balance of images and text. Just in case, again, if people are blocking images, they're still going to be able to get the information you're trying to get across to them by reading the text. It also helps with delivery as well, since email or spam filters are frequently looking for emails that are image heavy or if they're just made up of one image, because a lot of spam emails are just one image. So make sure you have a nice mix of text and images. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save Image, and now it's in here. It's a little big for this section, so what you can do is click on the image and grab this corner up here and you can move it and resize it right in here. You don't have to go back into the library to make changes to your image. You could just do it from within the email itself. So that's a nice tool to be able to do that. I can save my changes there. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next and move on into the steps to launch my email. So it's been saved now. So if you don't want to send it out quite yet, it's been saved, and you can come back and take a look at it in the email section of your account. So on this step, you need to preview. So this is the email that I created. And you can also preview the text. Our system is automatically creating backup text for you, just in case your recipients are set up to only receive text emails. They'll still be able to read the information that you're sending them. You can send a test, and you can send it automatically to whatever the account is set up under. This is the email address on the account. You can type in up to 10 addresses. But these are tests, so make sure you're only sending it to people who you want to have take a look at your test emails, because it will say test in the subject line. So once you've done all the steps on this page, go ahead and click Next. And this is where you can select a list. You could select one list, so I could select the list that I created today, or you could select multiple lists. And if you happen to select more than one list, our system will automatically deduplicate, in case, for instance, I selected 3 lists. If I had an email address on all 3 of those lists, that recipient would only get 1 email instead of 3. So this is the last step, and I've done all of the previous steps, so I have the sending information. But if, for instance, I hadn't, it would just send me back to one of the steps. Now at the top here, I have Google Analytics. And if you're using Google Analytics, you can set that up in your account, which I'll show you in just a couple minutes. And you'll be able to see the information coming from your vertical response emails, how people are hitting your website, how long they're staying there. So that'll be part of the traffic that you'll see on Google Analytics. Vertical response will be added in there. It's a free service that they offer, and our integration with them is free. So if you're using that, go ahead and set that up, and you'll be adding some more information to your tracking. The recipient summary just tells you how many people you're mailing to. And you can see I had duplicates across my list because my list started out at 748, but it ends up at 257 because our system was deduping across those 3 lists I selected. It tells me about the email credits. So in our system, you need to have 1 email credit for every email address in your list. You can purchase the credits in bulk if you want to. So if you know you're going to be sending out a lot of emails in the next 6 months or whatever, you can purchase a large amount and just have them in your account. They're good for a year, so you can purchase as many as you need to use in a year, and then our system will just deduct from that bank of credits as you send your emails. The next step here is scheduling it, and by default, our system will send it out as soon as possible. But you can change that. We have some shortcuts here on the bottom where you can select tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, or even next week, which is 7 days. Already May next week. Crazy. I don't know where April went. You can change the time that you want your email to go out at, and you can even schedule it to go out up to 4 months in advance. So if I wanted my email to go out in July, I could schedule that as well. I'll click Done, and that saves my changes. One thing to note down here at the bottom, once you launch your email, once I click the Send Email button, there's going to be some information sent to Salesforce, and that's going to depend on the type of mailing list that you created. So the one that I had is where I queried the leads and contacts. That's called a Salesforce mass email list. And that information will be updated in the VR email history because that's part of the integration. And it will also be updated in activity history on your leads and contacts. If you mail to a campaign from Salesforce instead of a mass email list, the information again will be under VR email history. But instead of activity history, it will be under campaign history because it's a campaign. So it depends how your list is created, but you're always going to see the email information in 2 spots. So let me go ahead and click Send Email. And there we go. So I've sent my email, and now activity history is being updated for my leads and contacts about me sending out my email. So let's go over here to the VR Statistics tab. This is where your email is going to move once it's gone out. And this is where you'll be able to see the statistics for your email campaigns. So you can just click on one of the campaigns. So let's take a look at this one. Just by clicking on the name. And you'll get an overview on this dashboard page. So you can see the number of opens, clicks, bounces, and unsubscribes. You'll be able to see the links that are clicked and how many times they've been clicked. We'll tell you about top performing lists, so if you're mailing to more than one, you'll have more information in there. And then at the bottom, you can compare recent emails that you've sent out. So this kind of helps keep track of how your email marketing is doing, maybe places that you might need to make a change. For instance, I had a great open rate on this one. I had 33% at my Spanish wine sale, but my purchase more and save sale, I only had a 23% open rate. So this is a place that you can come and take a look and see. Maybe it was the subject line. Maybe I had a better subject line on the Spanish wines. Maybe it was the day of the week. Okay, obviously these are not going to have that same thing because these are test emails. But check the day of the week that they went out, the time of the day that you sent them out. It could be something as easy as your recipients would rather read emails in the morning. And so if you send your email in the morning, you'll have a better response rate. So this comparison chart will help you with your email marketing to make it just even better and have a better open and click-through rate. So then up here, if we look on the left-hand side under email actions, there's a couple things. We have a Twitter and Facebook integration. So if you click on share email, you'll be able to set up Twitter or Facebook accounts and then update information there. So what our system does is create this short URL, and that will be in part of what is posted on your Twitter or Facebook. And then there's a box that you can just type in whatever you want to have your post say. So this is great for anyone who might be following you who isn't on your mailing list currently, and also might drive them not only to your website to make a purchase, but to sign up for your list. You can even see some more statistics. So if you wanted to be able to find out when people are opening your email, you can get that information from the download lists. So you can see when somebody opens, the time and the date. We track the click information, so what links are being clicked, how many times they're clicked, and again, the time and the date that they're clicked. So it can give you a lot of information about when people are reading and looking at your email as well. So let's jump back to the VR Statistics tab really quickly. And in order to see the information in Salesforce, you need to update your statistics. So you need to select whatever emails you want to update, and then click Update Statistics, and our system's going to send the opens, the clicks, the bounces, the unsubscribes, all that information back to Salesforce. So let's jump over there and take a look. Under Leads, I'll go ahead and take a look at Abraham Lincoln here. So this top part here is the detail section that our system can query from. This is the email opt-out box, so he's still mailable. And then if you come down here, this is the VR email history that will be added to your account when you do the installation. And you can see who's opened and clicked, bounced, or unsubscribed from the VR email history. And if you click on the name of the email from here, you can get more information. You can see the links that are clicked, and you'll even be able to see the email that was sent out to that particular person. Let's go back over here. And then if it was a mass email, this is the activity history information that's updated. And if you used a campaign instead of a mass email list, you'll be able to see information under here as well. So this is an email that was sent out, and this person opened the email. So you'll be able to see whatever the last action was that they took with the email in the campaign history. And it's the same for contacts. The detail section again, email opt-out, and again, the VR email history for contacts is included, and also activity history and campaign history for any of the emails that this person was sent. We also include some reports. If you go to the reporting tab, you can take a look at the reports that we include. We have it for contacts and leads. So if I take a look at the contacts opened, this is going to create a report of all the contacts who've opened any of my emails. So you can see, you can scroll through here and see, and you can see the actions they've taken if they've opened, clicked on any links. So this is a lot of information that you can get here. But you can also, this is a Salesforce report, So you can click on Customize and come in here and make some changes to the information that you're seeing. So if I go to, if I go to Select Criteria and not click the next button there. So this is our default query for running the opens for our emails, but you can come in here and add more. So if you wanted to be able to find out if a particular company is opening your emails, how many people from that company is opening it, people from a particular state or city. So you could go ahead and add more filters to the information that we're already providing on the emails. This works just like any report in Salesforce. This is a Salesforce report. So you can add additional filters to create a more detailed report for you. So I'm going to jump back over here to VR email. Go ahead and start typing any questions that you have. This is the account section, and this is where you can set up the information that our system will pull in. So this is where the address information is and the company name information. And this is the analytics. This is where you can set up your Google Analytics if you're using Google Analytics. Again, it's free and it's through their site. You would just need to set up the domain in here. And our social sharing is set up through here as well. So if you wanted to share on Twitter or Facebook, you can do that. And again, on the VR email tab at the bottom of the page is our help site. And again, you can watch videos. It's down here. You can watch videos or read text tutorials. And if you wanted to talk to our support team, just mouse over this Need Help link, and you'll be able to send an email. You'll be able to call us, or we even have live chat. So if you have a quick question, you can go ahead and chat in, and we'll be more than happy to answer.